So my name is Danielle Prince, and I went to the 2016 Rio Olympics. So I started rhythmic when I was 11 years old, which is pretty late in terms of rhythmic. My dance teacher actually suggested that I try rhythmic because I was quite naturally flexible, and she thought that rhythmic might be a good sport for me. My mum took me to my first trial class. I literally took one step into the gym and just instantly knew that this was the place for me and this was going to be the sport for me. And I just knew, like, wow, this is exactly where I want to be. And yeah, the rest was history.
That's so amazing that you found an immediate attraction to the sport and a love for it. I know that when you started in Brisbane, is that correct? Yeah. You were in like a sporting environment where you had lots of athletes who were the same age as you, training in a dense environment of gymnasts who were the same ability, skill level, age. What was that like for you?
I think that was the absolute best thing for my development as an athlete, to have so many other hungry, talented junior athletes surrounding you in the training environment was, yeah, absolutely the best thing. You're constantly pushing each other. Your competitor is basically training next to you. You're all training with the same coach, so you know that anything's possible. When I was training in junior international, there was 8 junior international athletes in my club, all in the same level. So to have that many juniors just from your club, never mind like your state, was pretty incredible. Yeah.
And did you see success early on?
No. I was the athlete that came 25th out of 26 stage 3s at my first national championships. So I think because I came so late into the sport, it took me a little while. And you see that with a lot of athletes. It's a very challenging sport to jump straight into. And it did take me quite a few years to, I guess, like find my groove, and really, I guess, see my potential in the sport. I never really, I guess, realized it myself, probably until my last year junior international, when I was turning 15.
Mm-hmm. And was that when your goal of the Olympic Games started kind of turning into reality?
I think I dreamed about the Olympic Games like the day that I came back from my first gymnastics lesson. I was like, Mum, I'm going to go to the Olympics. She's like, oh, sweetheart, okay. Like, good dream, that's impressive. But yeah, I think it probably only really became a reality when I won my first senior international championship, which was in 2011. So that was the first time I think I realized in my head that this really far-fetched kind of dream might, could potentially become a reality in the coming years. Yeah.
And of course, you're vying for the London Olympic Games. And when that didn't happen for you, what was that like, dreaming about the next Olympic Games?
It seemed like such a long time away, like 4 years in your head as an athlete. It seems like, a lifetime away, 4 years, but in reality, it goes so quickly. By the time the London Olympics rolled around, I guess I kind of understood that, like, this wasn't my time. I wasn't ready. And there were so many things that I still had to learn and improve to be able to compete at that level. And I think that I then took on that next 4 years to be like, I have to learn all these things. I have to improve all these aspects of my training, of my routines, my mental outlook on competing, that sort of thing. So I think it was absolutely the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
So amazing. And it's kind of only in hindsight that you feel like it was kind of a blessing in disguise. And then the lead up to the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, what was that like for you?
That was like the highlight of my sporting career, I would say. To prepare for an Olympic Games is such a unique and incredible experience. Like media commitments that you have to do, from like the team selection, trying on your uniforms, like all of those really exciting things kind of balanced out with the hard training, the physically draining aspect of preparing for the Olympics as well, was just such an incredible and overwhelming experience all in one.
And of course, in your preparation for the Olympic Games, you were featured in Vogue, and like we saw you on our TV screens, and gymnastics gave you such an opportunity to, I guess, not only celebrate gymnastics, but finally celebrate you. And how did that feel? And when did you first call yourself an Olympian, and how did that feel for you?
I said that I would never call myself an Olympian until I had finished like all 4 routines at the Olympics. So even like even after I had my selection announced, nothing's a given in our sport. And I think you never want to take a selection like that for granted. Because obviously a lot of things can happen between a selection and the actual games. I was actually really petrified. The 2 months between my selection and the games was probably the most nerve-wracking training experience that I've had. You're constantly worried that you're going to get injured, you're going to get sick, something's going to happen, and you won't be able to, experience your dream. So yeah, I think that's why maybe I like safeguarded myself in a little way to say, your dream isn't selection, your dream is to compete.
And when you got to the Rio Olympic Games, what was the most vivid thing you remember about the experience?
Ooh, probably competing.
Really?
I think obviously, yeah, there's so many exciting extras that come along with the Olympic Games. From being in the athletes' village, the like dining hall, all of the kind of like fun extras like your team uniform, like the Olympic Games sponsors, like we got a free phone, and just like all those like fun kind of like extra things were incredible, but nothing could prepare you for that moment, like when you were actually on the carpet and competing and doing your thing and like totally in the zone and in the flow and why you exist, basically.
It's pretty amazing, like that you feel this put here to like do this, and then you finish it, and then what was that like? You're an Olympian now, and then you're at the peak of your career, and then what happens next?
I don't even know how to describe the following months after the Olympics. I think it's probably the hardest part was reassessing like what does that mean for me now and where do I want to go, trying to figure out who you are. And yeah, there's a lot of things to consider after the Olympics.
And then of course you made the decision to come back for the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. I mean, what was that like to go from being at the peak of your athletic career and then taking a 6-month break and then trying to get back to the top again, and to, of course, once again represent your country at a, what is this? That was your 3rd Commonwealth Games.
It's like the hardest 18 months of my life. I think to come down off that high and I think the Olympic preparation was unlike any other preparation that I had experienced before. Like I was mentioning, all of the media, the intense pressure that I felt not only from myself but also from the community, to like the gymnastics community, to give them the best results that I could, to come off that and then to go back into the rebuilding phase. So new routines, going back into that everyday struggle and that everyday grind was really challenging, and an experience that I learned a lot about myself, which I'm really grateful for now as I kind of jump into new experiences after gymnastics. I think that period of training taught me a lot that I can now, apply into other areas of my life.
It's just such a Danni Prince thing for people that don't know that you commit yourself and you give your heart and everything you have to any task that you're given. Do you think you were born with that, or do you think that that's come from your experiences as a gymnast?
I think it's a bit of both. I think your upbringing definitely has something to do with that. Both of my parents are very determined, very driven. And I feel like I learned a lot of that from them. But obviously you can have those skills inside you, but until you go through an experience or compete in a high level sport, that's when that is kind of brought out of you. Those characteristics are brought out in you. So I think it was a little bit of both for me. Training and competing in elite sport teaches you so many lessons. And if you really have a goal and you're really committed to it, and it's kind of like your everything, you will get there in the end, I think is kind of what it taught me. Yeah.
And obviously you have stayed in gymnastics for such a long time. You were a gymnast and then you are now currently a coach. What is it about RG that you love so much?
I think for me, it's such a complex sport that no other sport can top. In the sense that there is so many elements to the sport. There's not only the physical body preparation side, but there's also the apparatus. There is the competitive side that is such a mental battle that I really enjoyed and enjoyed doing over my career. So I think it's the sum of everything. Sport excited me as much as gymnastics because it had so many things that could challenge you and work towards.
But there must have been times in your career where you were like, I can't do it.
There were so many times in my sporting career where I was like, I thought I was done. I thought I'd had enough. I didn't think I could. I thought I kept reaching my potential. The thing that I guess kept me going and pushed me through those times was the fact that I had to remember that every day I had this dream. The hardest part, I think, was just turning up. So when you're in sort of like those down periods and things aren't going right, just to be able to turn up every day is an achievement in itself. And in a way, taking one small step towards your goal every single day. And that was kind of, I guess, yeah, what got me through some of those low periods. Just keep turning up.
For anyone that doesn't know Danielle Prince, she's the most consistent and the most dependable person. So, I mean, it's no wonder that you were able to come back. And as a rhythmic gymnast, you stayed for, a really quite a lengthy career. You had an amazing career, 7 world championships, 3 Commonwealth Games, an Olympic Games. Like, it's just no one in Australia has ever done that before. And I think that that's been key to your success, is your commitment and your drive, and the consistency has just been unparalleled. Did you have any motivational quotes that you lived by?
So for my Olympic chapter, I guess my quote that kind of drove me was to not be bitter, but to be better. So in times of, turmoil and times that maybe I didn't achieve the results that I hoped for or worked for, that I didn't have time to be bitter and I didn't have time to dwell on it, but it's an opportunity to grow and become better and learn from it. For the Commonwealth Games in 2018, I had a different quote, which was, I guess, surrounding the journey should be inspired by your hopes and not your fears. So obviously I had a lot of hopes going into the 2018 Commonwealth Games, but I also had a lot of fears in the back of my head constantly from, I think, probably the moment that I decided that I would continue on towards, after the Olympics, towards the 2018 Commonwealth Games. So I have a book that I think really helped and inspired me after the 2012 Olympics, looking forward to the 2016 Rio Olympics. So the book that I had it's called the Little Book of Talent, and it's basically like 52 tips for improving your skills. And it sounds kind of cheesy, but there's a lot of really interesting things in here that talks about, the difference between hard skills and soft skills, and the fact that hard skills take a long time, and you have to be, I guess, emulate grit, determination, all of those sorts of little things that make the difference between just an athlete and an athlete that's on a journey with a mission and a purpose. You can learn so much from others, how they got through rough times, how they came back from injury, all of those little things I think is really important to be able to, apply small aspect to your own career and your own life.
And you obviously just got married, and it was a beautiful wedding. If you, at some point down the line, had children who wanted to follow in your Olympic footsteps, what would the single most important piece of advice be?
Oh, that's a good question. I think to trust the journey. I think it goes back to obviously very representative of my journey. So when I think about my journey, I think that the road wasn't straight, but to stay true to your dreams and your aspirations, and to trust that the journey and the experiences on the way will be worth it.
I hope that I know that people can listen to your story and think that, you don't have to be born to be this amazing shining superstar. Like, it's the experiences and the heartbreak and the highs and the lows that make you into this incredible, not just athlete, but human being. And I hope people will take that away from this chat that we've had, and, and how obviously special the Olympic Games is, and anyone who's dreaming of it, be like Danni Prince and just turn up every single day.
The most important part of my story is that, success doesn't have to happen straight away. I think it's about believing who you're going to be and dreaming of who you're going to be in 10 years' time as an athlete.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Danni, for your time. I'm sure anyone who reads or watches this video will be absolutely thrilled that they got to know the human behind the athlete. So that was really good.
Thank you so much for having me.